The Pocket 4 has genuinely been a game changer for me. I'd initially dismissed the previous Pocket 4 cameras from DJI or any small form factor pocket cameras or action cameras from GoPro, Insta360 and DJI themselves. While I thought the camera quality was okay, you could tell this wasn't a proper camera. But when I initially looked at the Pocket 3, I was shocked at how good the quality was. So I held out for a little bit longer, and as soon as the Pocket 4 dropped, I got it on launch day. It's been over a month since I got the Pocket 4, and guys, this is, to me going forward, a game changer on how I will be shooting video content. Let's get into why that is. The camera quality is top notch. It punches close to a full frame camera in terms of quality. I'm coming from a Sony a7 III, which is arguably turning into an urban legend at this point. I'm sure 90% you can't tell what camera I'm using, and let's be honest, you probably won't care. Number two is the size of this thing is tiny. It basically replaces my a7 III and Ronin RC2 for 95% of the workflows. Being tiny and has the advantage of being discreet. I could walk around without a camera or even my iPhone, and I feel like more comfortable in public than other cameras. Number three, the setup period is almost painless apart from getting off the awkward gimbal protector and the case. More on that in a little moment. The flick of a screen and a press of a button on the record button turns the camera on, press record, and you're off to the races, unless you want to use ND filters, which you should definitely get, by the way. Number four, the Mic 3 is also included in the Creator Combo Pack, which syncs instantly to the Pocket 4. And most of what I need is there, and again, it's a painless setup. No pulling out a receiver. Speaking of the Creator Combo, it is worth the extra money. You get almost everything you need to set up, such as the extended grip, which you can see here, which has the all-important quarter screw, the 1/4 inch thread used by every tripod mount ever. The Mic 3 dock for the Mic 3, the pouch, the gimbal protector, the mini stand, and a fill light and the case. Oh, and the wide angle lens, which takes a 20mm wide focal length to 16. The extra 4mm wideness does come in handy just sometimes. You will need to make provisions for an ND filter and other filters if you shoot in bright light or during the day to get natural motion blur by setting the shutter speed to double what the frame rate you shoot at. A month into the life cycle of the Pocket 4, it seems there's new combos available on DJI's website, and I will still go for the Creator Combo Pack though. The only one I would have hesitated is the Travel Combo, as it includes the battery grip and the first party ND filter, but doesn't include the fill light, which generally is cool, and the Mic 3. However, I still think the best combo is the Creator Combo Pack. Oh, and speaking of the battery life, there is plenty for most people. I think if you travel a bit and you like to carry a battery bank, and if it provides 65 watts of power, you can bet on charging it really fast. I took that to London on a full battery and a day of shoots. A lot of small clips for other videos I'm working on, and I had no issues. The battery getting down to 40% from a full tank. If I was continuously recording bigger clips throughout the day, I probably would have needed a top up at some point. The thing I found uncomfortable though was how warm the Pocket 4 got. When I used it, it never overheated on me and shut off, but it did get toasted to the touch, especially on those longer recording sessions. That's not all I found uncomfortable. The Pocket 4's extended handle feels like manufactured e-waste to me. I get DJI probably wanted to keep the design from the Pocket 3, but including the battery handle in its Creator Combo Pack would have been better. How DJI could have kept the dimensions similar if they had just combined this directly to this. That 1/4 inch thread could have been implemented into the chassis instead of producing a piece of plastic with a USB pass-through. While I'm here, the build quality is really good, and I feel like it's a solid piece of equipment. There are things that annoy me and aren't confidence inspiring. For starters, the screen swivel to landscape doesn't inspire confidence. A bit of play and I'm worried that it would fail like I've seen on Reddit with the Pocket 3. Removing the new design gimbal protector feels like I'm going to break the gimbal. Luckily there's a bit of play built into the gimbal. The gimbal protector also gets in the way of a data transfer too. If you want to offload data, you have to remove the gimbal protector, turn it on, which gets the camera ready, which I didn't need to, plug it into the computer, and then press what mode you want, and maybe enter the password on the camera, and it goes into a rest permit position, and it appears on the file manager. God forbid you put this protector on while you're transferring lofty data files. Guess we found out the hard way again. Also, why does that a wide angle lens attachment or any other filter you've got, you turn the camera on and then turn it back off, it doesn't go back to the rest position. It does try to, but the gimbal realizes that there's an attachment in the way and it kind of semi-unlocked. Why DJI couldn't re-engineer the camera module just a bit further away from the gimbal stem, I don't know. Okay, with most of that out of my system, a bit more negatives on the design. Well, we're so close. The pouch, not to be confused with the case, is pointless to me. I'd rather just put it in the more protective case than the pouch. The hard case shell on the Pocket 3 made sense. It was nice and compact and pocketable while inspiring confidence. Luckily, it seems to be that third parties like K&F have come to the rescue and designed one for the Pocket 4 and 3 too, which is also really nice. Now, I didn't buy the DJI's ND filters, but I decided to go with Newer's CPL/ND combo filter pack. It's a great kit optically, and it's low profile, so it fits in even when the gimbal covers in, but it can be a little bit agitated to fit in. The other issues though I do have though is it is a pain in the ass to get this off of its case. And I always feel like when taking it off my camera, it kind of upsets the motor and my greasy fingers just get in the way, so I have to wipe off the lens. Right, run over now. Time for the good bits of the design and accessories. The fill light connects to the rear of the gimbal stem where you'll find 4 pins with a magnetic latch onto it. Press the left button on the top and it turns the light on. And you have 3 levels of brightness. On the right button, it gives you 3 options for color temperature. DJI also includes a little menu screen for the light, which too is pretty neat and gets plenty bright too. So if you want to vlog in low light, you totally can. The Mic 3 probably needs its own video, but there's plenty of good reviews online. But the TLDR, it's very good. The one that came with the Pocket 4 instantly connects to the Pocket 4, including 32-bit float internal recording to 32 gigs of onboard storage, which means post-production, which you can replace the audio track with a 32-bit float file, gives you the flexibility to bring down and up your volume in post, whereas a traditional mic, like what I'm wearing right now, would sound a bit harsh doing that. The annoying bit though was if you wanted to update the firmware on the Mic 3, you would have to connect it to the Mimo app on the PC, the Osmo 4 connected to the Wi-Fi, or if you use the Mimo app with the Pocket 4, it had very limited options, so you meant connecting it directly to the Mimo app. The case is pretty handy. It comes with everything you need, neatly packed, although a slot for a dead cat and LD filter would have been handy. Apart from being a short king like me, it does have 2 additional buttons, a custom button and a zoom button. The custom button can be remapped to 3 different actions by a single, double and a triple tap that DJI thinks is suitable. FYI, the triple tap only has 2 options to pick from, just for that for those 2 functions. The joystick is pretty easy and responsive. The only thing I had to bear in mind is that it can double up as a zoom slider too if you press the custom button once, if it hasn't been remapped. Using the Pocket 4 is pretty straightforward. Turn on the camera on a flip of the screen or press the hold record button to turn it on. And to navigate, swipe left from the gallery, up from the bottom to change the resolution and frame rate. Right brings the camera and mic controls. Swipe down from the top gives you more controls and modes and settings. Honestly, it needs a walkthrough guide of all on its own, as there's so much settings here. It's kind of outside the scope of this video as well, so if you want me to do a video on that, maybe drop a comment down below, let me know. And while you're down there, maybe like, subscribe and share this video and watch it to the end. It really helps me out massively. Another thing you might want to know is walking with the Pocket 4, trying to get those cinematic shots can cause a bobbing motion as your hand moves up and down as you walk. You will need to adopt a ninja style of walk by bending your knees more than usual as you walk. However, pro tip, swipe down from the bottom and you'll see the gimbal icon on the bottom right. Click on it, change it from follow mode to tilt lock mode, and this will lock the horizon. This will mean you'll have to do a little bit less in post-production trying to stabilize it. Right, controls and tips aside, we have to talk about the camera now. The quality of this camera is ridiculous for what it is and the price. It is a 1-inch sensor which is capable of 4K 60 and 10-bit color, slow motion of 4K 280 frames per second, 37 megapixel RAWs in a 1:1 square ratio. But if you want a more respectable 16:9 ratio, it still can shoot a respectable 33. But on the video side, it can shoot in a standard color profile in 10-bit, but also in DLOG 10-bit. There is no DLOG M, which is a more light version of DLOG, and you have way more to work with just DLOG. So if you're a creative, you'll appreciate this more than just the M version. I know people online have been complaining about the lack of DLOG M, but I personally don't think people will miss it. Instead, DJI, you should really add HLG. Please, you have to add it back in the software update. If you're new to this, log is basically what allows editors to edit footage colors to their liking. Out of camera, it looks really flat and gray, but apply a LUT, which stands for look up table. You can tweak the colors to your heart's content for the most part. And HLG, hybrid log gamut, is for what HDR content is, which is more out of the box colors, but that's an oversimplification. But if you're interested, there's tons of videos online and articles to read. Footage out of this looks identical to traditional cameras. Working with footage is pretty easy, even for a novice like me who's new to video editing. Low light performance is really good too, although I did notice some shutter flicker on one of my shots when in low light mode. FYI, it only works in 4K 30. It does have a 2x lossless zoom, so it doesn't degrade, but you will notice at 4x, though it's a small compromise. Where it doesn't compromise though is the Active Track 7. It is sticky like honey. It tracks subjects so well, and if it loses tracking due to darkness and obstructions or max gimbal rotation, it returns quickly to tracking once the subject returns to frame. Also, if you have multiple people in frame, you can register a person just prior to prioritize them. The tracking is really well done. I wish the pan and axis gave me 360-degree movement though. It's roughly about 300 degrees of movement, which is available. There are other notable mentions too. I just mentioned color profiles, but there are film tones. A bit like filters over your video, they're baked into the footage, and there is 6 to choose from. However, it would have been nice if you could just import presets straight onto the Pocket 4 for more of a personalized touch and a quicker workflow. Switching to photos, as mentioned, it shoots 37 megapixels in its 1:1 ratio or 33 megapixels in its 16:9 ratio in the super photo mode, but in the standard photo mode it shoots a 9 or 8 megapixels respectively. The photos are okay, there's plenty to work with in Lightroom in terms of editing. The camera has a tendency to shoot a much slower shutter speed, which can lead to images not looking so sharp in the auto mode. The annoying thing is there's very little adjustment you can do in super photo mode too. It seems only in its auto mode with the adjustment to ISO and range exposure compensation. I assume it's because it's upscaling that 8 or 9 megapixel camera to that advertised 33/37 megapixel, aka it's not a true high-res sensor. If you think you're just going to buy this for photography, please don't. It's not for professional use. It's great in a pinch though. All of your photos and videos can be stored on the Pocket 4's internal 107 gigabytes of storage, which is blazing fast to offload via USB with advertised speeds of 800 megabytes per second. Your mileage will vary. In my testing, I only got around 440, but that's still really fast. While over wirelessly connected to my iPhone 16 Pro Max, via the Mimo app, it reached about an average of high 40s to 80s, with peaking about 120 megabytes per second. At a brief moment, coming back to the USB connections, I did mention it does have a webcam mode too. Look, have a look. So this is the webcam mode on the DJI OSMO Pocket 4. It weirdly looks a little bit odd, I guess, at the moment, like not as sharp as it should do. And that's not because it's in a webcam mode, it's just because of my OBS resolutions kind of, and it's designed for compression, so it looks slightly weird. But what I can do is I can press the record button, and hopefully it looks a lot more clearer. So I'm using the internal recording still, while still in webcam mode. Laptop's right here if I'm moving that way. It's really cool, so you can, I don't know, you're doing a YouTube stream or a Twitch stream. All you can do is, if you want to, record a lower res stream now, you can completely do that with the laptop here. But if you want to maybe make a YouTube video, you can replace the low res version with a high res version from the internal recording.
And the fact they can do both at the same time is actually quite impressive and kind of an underrated feature. Normally it'd be like, no, you can't do, you either have to do one or the other. So pretty useful feature, especially if you don't have a webcam and the audio is through the Osmo Pocket 4. What do you think?
It's also worth noting the Mimo app's live view, while there was latency present, it was very usable. In fact, I was shooting a small portion of a music video for a friend. I gave her the iPhone to control the gimbal and focus while I focused on the movement I needed to do. So, conclusion time then. I said in my YouTube Shorts video saying that I might have regretted my purchase. And the answer to that is, actually, drumroll please, no, I won't be. The Osmo Pocket 4P is due to be released soon, which is apparently going to offer a 3x zoom secondary camera, as also the Insta360 Luna, which is perfect for creatives who want more natural compression without too much quality loss by punching in. However, naturally the cost is going to be a lot higher, which firmly cements it as a more pro tool than the Pocket 4. The Pocket 4 still punches above its weight. I've seen a lot of clips of creatives creating quite cinematic clips on YouTube. Sure, there's a lot of shortcomings with the Pocket 4, and some of them can be addressed with a software update. If you're in the market for a new video camera, whether you're traveling or an influencer or a professional that needs something smaller on the go or something to add to your arsenal, this is a pretty good buy. As remember, if you've watched this video to the end, I can't thank you enough, as it helps me out massively. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and consider sharing this video with your friends and family. Maybe also go and watch a video review of the Neo 2, aka the perfect hobby to sink into over the summer. I'll see you in the next one, and keep doing good.
How close is too close?
We're keeping that in.
Are we? Okay.
Oh, that was a solid one.
No. Well, this should be an easy one to do.